Hey quilters, my name is Pam Heller, AccuQuilt's cutting expert.
And I'm Erica, AccuQuilt's corporate marketing specialist.
Welcome to today's show called Generations of Quilting. To help us celebrate women in quilting, it is International Women's Day.
It is.
We're going to be joined by icons Alex Anderson, Eleanor Burns, Marianne Fons, and Liz Porter. Just amazing.
So exciting. I am so excited for today's show and to hear from our guests. Now, today's show will be nothing short of inspiring, so we want to get started right away. As always, we've planned a lot of fun for you. We've got some great prizes, exciting project ideas, an incredible trunk show, and some special deals.
And quilters, today's deals are fantastic. Now, to get your order in during the show, use your phone's camera to capture the upcoming QR codes, and it'll take you directly to the site.
And if you don't have a QR reader, simply open a new tab in your browser. You want to go to that top box, type in accuquilt.com/party, and go to the site to place your order. That way, you're not going to miss a minute of the show.
All right, today you can take 44% off Go dies, cubes, and bundles. Use that code SAVEMY44.
Okay, you can also spend $400 or more and receive a free Go Me fabric cutter starter set. No code required.
Now, this month is AccuQuilt's March Machine Madness. So you need to know you're going to get some great cutter deals. Today, when you buy a Ready, Set, Go or a Go Big,
Yes.
you're going to save, get this, $200, which is absolutely perfect. You can use that money you saved to buy fabric for future projects. Just check out with the code SAVE200, S-A-V-E 200 at checkout. You're going to save it.
Please be sure to place your orders while the items are in stock and ready to ship. With global supply chain issues, we can't guarantee exactly when sold out items will be back in stock. So get what you need while it's available now.
You can also find our products at your local AccuQuilt retailer. To find the retailer closest to you, check the store locator at the top of the page at accuquilt.com.
You can quilt now and pay later. For more information on financing through AccuQuilt, visit accuquilt.com/financing.
All right, so today we're talking about mentoring and quilting. Those who were your mentors and taught you how to make a quilt or furthered your quilting knowledge and skills, helping you, our viewers, become a better quilter.
Right. And also about mentoring others, sharing your love of quilting and the skills to make quilts with others, both adults and children. I know I fell in love with sewing at an early age, and I could not learn enough.
Today is certainly a different time than when we both were learning to sew.
Absolutely.
And I know that all of our guests today influenced the sewists and quilters of our generation through their patterns, books, and shows, making us so pleased to have them with us today.
I know, I feel like I have all my quilting legends here.
Right? They're all on our show today. All right, our first guest is Alex Anderson.
Since embracing the quilt life more than 4 decades ago, in 2008, Silver Star award-winning Alex Anderson has worn many hats. Her 30 books, 30, have sold over 1 million copies, inspiring quilters worldwide. She's designed patterns and fabrics. She's helped to develop innovative products to enhance the quilting experience, and for 11 years hosted the popular cable TV show Simply Quilts, which I remember watching.
Yes, I remember watching as well.
Thank you for teaching me about quilting.
Yes.
In 2007, she co-founded The Quilt Show with Ricky Timms. It's the world's first full-service interactive online video web TV platform.
Amazing.
Soon after, an award-winning quilting lifestyle magazine was created. Most of all, however, Alex is a teacher, and her mission remains to educate and encourage both new and experienced quilters, ensuring our beloved tradition passes seamlessly to succeeding generations.
So what exactly is the purpose of mentorship? What a wonderful question, and I'm so grateful to be here today to share my points of view on it. Okay, the purpose of a mentor, and a really good one, is to help you grow as a person and become the best variation of yourself. You know, this might involve helping you achieve your personal or career goals, and it often introduces you to new ways of thinking and challenging your own limiting assumptions, sharing valuable life lessons, and so much more. I would not be here today without mentors. And it's interesting, as I looked into mentoring, there's three kinds. And here's the checklist, and I can tell you exactly who these people were. And they were all women. Group mentoring. A single mentor is a wonderful thing, but what about a group, a mini group? My mini group. When I was a young mother, I was the youngest member of the mini group. They were all older and wiser for sure. And not only did they guide me in how to conduct myself professionally, but also how to raise my children and how to be the best Alex I could be. Distance mentoring, I would have to give that to Jean Wells. Jean taught me, she's up in Sisters, Oregon, she taught me that I could do a book. But also on top of professionally writing books, teaching, etc., she was about 10 years ahead of me in child rearing. And so our paths have been very parallel in that whole situation. So she's there for me. I can call her anytime, night and day. And last but not least, Diana McClunn. In fact, she probably was my first mentor. She owned Empty Spools Quilt Shop and helped founded Asilomar at Pacific Grove. She taught me what it means to be a professional, to look at my job at quilt making and teaching as serious as my husband who went to work to be a CPA. So here's the thing, people, these three groups passed me the thimble, that's what I call it, and now that I am older and hopefully wiser, I can mentor those before me or after me and share with them the roadblocks, the way to handle themselves professionally, and teach them that they can do it. So figure out who's mentored you and then figure out who you can mentor and just pass that thimble. Thanks, AccuQuilt, for including me.
Pass the thimble. I love
Love that idea. We'll have
do
to remember
too.
that. We'll have to remember that. Now, you actually have a story of a pattern, not a quilt pattern, that you have of Alex on how to make pants or something.
No, that's Liz Porter coming
well,
up.
coming up. Okay, sorry. All right, today we're talking about mentoring. We decided to talk about some great dies and pattern to use when you're working with new quilters. And I have to say, both you and I would agree that the tumblers are the perfect starting place.
They really are. Now we've got three sizes of tumbler dies. We have a 3-inch, a 4-inch, and a 6-inch finished tumbler. And really the 4-inch and the 6-inch are probably the best for new quilters and sewists. And the 4-inch has the advantage of working really well with charm pack squares.
Right.
Those are pre-cut 5-inch squares, and a lot of times picking out fabric is intimidating for new quilters too.
I think so
So
too.
starting with something like a curated charm pack where they just have things that they know are going to work together is a really good way to get them started.
And our 6-inch one works perfectly with layer cakes.
Yes.
So both of them are perfect for pre-cuts. I know that Emily, who works with me on Wednesday, Tumbler was her first quilt.
Well, we
and-
really recommend that's where everybody starts.
Yeah. Okay, so the cool thing about this is, like Erica said, we've cut off the dog ears. So from this point here to this point here is that perfect 1/4-inch seam.
Yes.
Which is so important as a quilter. I feel like if you can sew a 1/4-inch seam, you can use all of our products.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
So we have some charm squares here. So let's talk about lengthwise grain for just a hot minute, Erica.
Yes.
Because you want to find that lengthwise grain as it goes through the cutter.
And that's also going to be your selvage edge. But if you're working with charm squares like this, you're not going to have that selvage on there. So Pam's trick
Is the pull test. So look, lots of stretch.
Yeah.
Now this, high and tight.
high and tight.
This is that lengthwise grain. And with pre-cuts, you want to go through every piece. Don't
Right.
just say, oh, here's my charm squares.
Right, they're not always all stacked the same direction. So you want to double check that.
And we can always cut 6 layers of cotton with our fabric cutters.
Yep.
With our dies. So we're going to put 6 layers on. All right.
Now the other thing we want to be sure that we're doing, and I don't know if you can get a really good look at that, but you can see how this is at an angle on the die board. We do that on purpose. So that's so that you want to line up parallel or along with that same angle. So you
Right.
want your fabric to be on that same angle. I know you want to line it up and square it up because
Right.
we're quilters, but
Right, so
you
if
want
you,
it to be angled just like the shape
Yeah.
because that's how you're going to get your best cut.
yeah, if you think, oh, I'm gonna line it up with the die board, it's
Yeah,
gonna be kind of
no,
wonky.
it is.
There you go. All right, and this one uses a 6x6 mat. We're gonna use our Go Big today. Listen, if you had 2 6x6 dies, you could run them through in one pass.
You
with a
could.
cutter.
But that die, it's going to fit in all 3 of our cutters,
It is.
including the Go Me.
It is. Give it a little bit of love, slide, don't lift. And then Eric, do you wanna lay out some of our
Yes, so
little
this
tumblers?
is one of the things I like about tumblers too, is you can lay them out any way you want to. So if you want to have a design, you can. If you want to have just scrappy goodness, you can. You can just line it up however you want. And you're gonna go up and down and up and down
Yep. And
and up and down. And when you go to sew them together, let's show you how those dog ears line up. See how those dog ears are gonna meet perfectly? And you'll see that point, that's gonna be your perfect 1/4 inch seam. Not scant, not over, just a perfect 1/4 inch seam right down there. When you press it out, you're not gonna have to trim anything, and it's gonna be perfect.
yeah, it's great. So tumblers, a really great way to start, you know, somebody new in quilting, maybe somebody new to AccuQuilt, this is a great one.
I actually think they're easier than squares.
Squares
We
are
had
hard.
an example, yeah.
So we have an example of a tumbler quilt, and it's actually a remake of one that we've had for a long time. This is called the Go Tumbling Quilt, and we redid it with batiks.
Batiks, and this is the
gonna
6-inch
hold it up.
version, so you can see it. And we've just done random. It's just
Yes.
all the colors. It's just all random. There's no design. There's no, well, we kind of have a couple of pinks in a row, but mostly it's just random.
It is.
And then just some really fun all over quilting on it.
Right, and I feel like this is probably made with a layer cake, which I think is great. And then look at the back, look how
It's
beautiful.
really gorgeous batik on the back.
I love everything about it.
All right, quilters, if you've joined us before, you know it wouldn't be a show without one of our giveaways.
That's right, and because today is all about quilting mentorship and community, we're giving away, thank you, 2 Go Qube books to a lucky registered viewer.
All right, now one book is for the lucky winner to keep, and the second is for them to give to their mentor or mentee to celebrate passing quilting from one person to another. And this is such a great book for that. If you haven't seen this book before, it's like a roadmap to getting started with your Qube.
Yep, it's by our good friend Eleanor Burns, and basically it talks about different sizes of cubes, and if it's kind of
Quilt by numbers.
quilt by numbers. Yep, if you want to make this block, you just need shapes 2 and 5, and it tells you the yardage depending on the size cube you have.
Yep, it's a
and
great book.
beautiful, beautiful blocks in here.
And
Look
projects.
at this. Look at this.
Gorgeous projects.
All right, the lucky winner of 2 Go Qube books is, drum roll please, Maya H. from Madisonville, Louisiana. Congratulations, Maya.
Congratulations.
You're gonna love this book. I've used this book quite a few times.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, quilters, if you're looking for more fun and inspiration, join me every Wednesday for AccuQuilt Live at 12 noon Central Time. You can find us, check out the events page on our website. This week, we're going to be using our Go Grandmother's Fan Die, which is the March die to try.
Yes.
Be sure to register for the show on our events page to be entered to win an exciting door prize. We have tons of fun. Hope to see you there. It'll be
That's
great.
right. All right, quilters, our next guest hardly needs an introduction.
She doesn't. In fact, Eleanor, I would have to say, is truly one of my mentors. And
Yes,
you and I have met
both.
her several times.
Yes.
And she's just amazing. Eleanor Burns is a celebrated industry role model. She self-published her first book, Make a Quilt in a Day Log Cabin Pattern, in 1978. Since then, she has written over 100 how-to quilt books, developed her own signature pattern collection, designed a variety of specialty rulers to aid quilters in completing their quilts, and has her own television series on PBS stations nationwide. Let's check it out.
Hi, I'm Eleanor Burns. I was asked who was my mentor, who got me started in all of this quilting industry. Well, it's an easy one for me to answer. It's Ruby McKim. Right here she is. And I ask you, how many of you have a photograph of your favorite mentor sitting in your sewing room? Well, I just love her. I know that she was a perfect wife, mother, grandmother. They even called her Grammy, and I really love to see her with her grandchildren. It touches my heart. Well, her book was actually the very first quilt book I ever purchased. It's called 101 Patchwork Patterns. She wrote it in 1931, and you can see how much I've used this. The poor thing is just falling apart. But let me go through some of the pictures that she gave us. She was so innovative in her patterns, the most innovative pattern designer of her time. Right here, the first pattern that I'm pulling to is Bear's Paw. Well, of course I love the Bear's Paw because I have the Bear's Paw Ranch, but she has all of the pieces, and there's the written instructions. And so you see my beautiful Bear's Paw quilt, something that I love. Well, the next one I'm going to pull to is another favorite. You know I love to collect antique quilts, and that's where Ruby got me started. Right here, the Lone Star. You get one piece, one diamond, and you put it together like this, and this is what you come up with. Well, I actually found this top that was just a quilt top, and I sent it out to my favorite quilter. She did a great job, Arlene Myers. I love it. And then we've got one more right here. Oh my goodness, look, my book is falling apart. I have used these forever and ever. So I saw this one, the beautiful tulip quilt. I liked it so much that I went and did my own book on it. Well, she didn't give the instructions, you remember. So I had to design all of this and figure it all out myself. And of course, I did some strips in there. It's very, very fun to do. Did a little applique with the butterflies, straight quilting all around. Very cool. I really liked it. You know that Ruby worked with her husband, and they developed this studio, this mail order studio called the McKim Studios. It was in Independence, Missouri, and I just love it because whenever people get these old patterns, they send them to me. If they're trash to you, they're valuable to me. So this is what's inside. She had all these cut cardboard pieces, look at that, and then a written set of instructions. There's all the pieces right there. And then it looks like she used like a pencil and colored in the design. So that was just really fun. For 2 years, she wrote patterns for the Kansas City Star, and that's where I've gotten so many of my patterns from the collection. You can see this one is the Wild Goose Chase, big old pieces, and a little story written about it right there. Another favorite, Double T. Well, I have loved Ruby McKim for years, and so I hope that you can go and find some of her bits and pieces around and treasure them as much as I have.
Okay, we can't talk about Eleanor Burns and quilting mentors without talking about strip dyes.
That's right.
After all, Eleanor has mentored so many quilters over the years, and how she uses strips really changed the way we all quilt today.
Oh, absolutely. She doesn't call herself the head stripper for nothing.
That's right.
All right, we want to take a look at a couple of our favorites, the 4.5 inch and the 2.5 inch. So let's start with the 4.5. This is so great for borders.
I use it for borders a ton, actually. And these are just 2 of the 18 strip dyes that AccuQuilt offers, but all of our strip dyes work the exact same way. They're perfect for cutting borders and binding and sashing and cut with angled guidelines. You can cut squares and diamonds, and you and I have done lots and lots of videos.
There are lots of
on
videos.
how to cut with the strips.
Exactly.
Okay, so this one is important to know. It has 2 sections of 4.5 inches, right? And so you can always cut 6 layers, so you can cut 8 of the strips. And then this is so you could cut diamonds at 60 degrees, 45, 30, and 90.
For squares.
Yeah, it's beautiful, okay?
So there aren't any blades. A lot of times people ask, there aren't blades under these guidelines. Those are just screen printed on there to give you lines to use to line up your fabric.
Right, and this, all of our strip dies, these bigger ones at 10 by 24, will fit through your Go and your Go Big. But we also have 2 strip dies that fit through the Go Me.
That's right.
Which is super fun. All right.
We've got the 2.5 inch here because no sewing room is complete without a 2.5 inch strip die. And we've got what, Save 44
Right,
today?
Save
So-
My 44, yeah, and all of our strip dies. So great day to kind of really look at your strip dies and say, which ones am I missing? Right. So this one will fit through your Go Me. It has 2 sections of 2.5 inch strips. But we also have one that has multiples that will fit through your Go Me. It cuts a 1, a 1.5, and 2 inch strip.
That's right.
And those are great for rail fences.
Yes, it is, and a lot of other things, and using your scraps. So another thing that's important, this is a 6 by 24 die board. If you're using this, you want a 6 by 24 mat.
Right.
If you go ahead and you want to use that 10 by 24 on it, you could have some movement, some shimmy,
Right.
and it wouldn't, A, it wouldn't fit through your Go Me, but B, it could interfere with your cut.
Yes. So make sure you have the appropriate size mat.
That's right. All right, now quilters are often, new quilters especially, are often drawn to projects with applique because they're cute.
They're so
We
cute.
love cute. So applique can be frustrating though because of the time it takes to cut out the shapes, but dies make it so simple.
Right. So we have a couple of examples here. So first of all, we have one of our brand new applique dies. This is the Go Shamrock, which is quickly becoming a fan favorite.
Absolutely.
And you want to make sure you get one today so that you can get it in time for St. Patrick's
Absolutely.
Day next week.
Absolutely.
All right. So all you have to do is iron on fusible, which we've done here, to the back of your fabric.
Yep.
And then you could put it over here, and we'll cut one here in just a second.
Yep.
Now, the thing you have to remember is you want to pre-fuse your fabric first
Yes.
before you run it through the cutter, so you don't have to trim it.
Right.
Right?
don't
But
wanna
you can
have to
only
do
use 4 layers of pre-fused cotton in one pass. You have to count that fusible as a half a layer.
Yes.
All right, so you want to talk about this as a directional shape?
It is a directional shape, so you can see the stem is pointing one direction. It curves. If you wanted your stem to face the other direction, you would go ahead and instead of putting your fabric right side up, you'd place it right side down. That's how you work with a directional shape.
And look, hold on here, we'll show you perfect.
There is our perfect shamrock.
In time for St. Patrick's Day.
Now, if you want to make your life even easier, we have free downloadable embroidery that you can use
And
to
we'll
go
talk
around
about
the
that
outline.
in just 1 second.
Yep.
Okay, so this is our new one, but we have a fan favorite.
Yes.
Well, it's one of
and
my
this is one of
favorites.
Pam's absolute favorites. This is the Go Northwoods medley. And this has got the bear, the moose, and the tree.
And the thing I love about this is that with the AccuQuilt system, you don't always have to cut cotton. You could cut flannel or felt or denim or wool. So I actually have a project where I took some brown wool and cut out my little bears.
Oh, how cute.
And then the trees were cut out of flannel. So really you could just use a lot of different shapes or different fabrics.
Yes.
So should we talk about?
So let's talk about that applique. So the free downloadable embroidery pattern is going to come with a choice of 3 stitches.
Right.
It'll have a blanket stitch, a satin stitch, which are really tight close together, or a motif stitch. And this is the motif stitch for the shamrock.
Right.
Okay. So those are free. You can download them. Here's the bear. And here's an example of the blanket stitch on the bear. Isn't he cute?
So cute.
But we also have some paid embroidery that you can download. And here's a couple of samples with the new shamrock.
And a huge shout out to our good friends at V-Stitch.
Yes, so these are by V-Stitch, and they just have, some of them have more detail, like this has got the hearts inside of it and the little highlight. Some of them have some different stitches. They're really cute. You'll want to check them out under the embroidery section on the website.
Yep. And that Northwoods medley, part of that Save My 44.
Yes.
I love that die.
Get that die, it's really fun. I think we like it because it's got that cedar tree on it.
It does. I just love everything about it.
Yep.
I just think it's so fun.
Absolutely. All right, quilters, because today's show is all about mentorship, we want to know who is or was your quilting mentor.
Now, there's no voting poll today, so in the comments section, just type in the name of the person
Yep.
who currently is or has been your mentor, and you can do it wherever we stream our show.
Right. All right, quilters, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok to see our behind the scenes video and our antics.
It's crazy here before the show. We have so much fun, and we also love to share AccuQuilt communities, quilts, and stories on our social media pages, so be sure to follow us.
Absolutely. Now, quilters, don't forget, we've got special deals for you.
That's right. Take 44% off Go dies, cubes, and bundles when you use the code SAVEMY44. So think about strip dies, applique dies,
Yep.
cubes. Today's a great day to do that. Also, if you spend $400 or more, you're going to receive a free Go Me fabric cutter starter set. No code required.
And then you can use that Go Me. If you don't want to use it for yourself, you can use that to pass on to somebody who's just getting started.
Which
maybe.
we have done several times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or get $200 off a Ready, Set, Go or a Go Big fabric cutter purchase when you use the code SAVE200. Great deals like these won't last, so be sure you get your fabric cutter order in today.
So let's just talk real quick about what comes in that Ready, Set, Go.
That's
So
right.
it has our manual machine, that 2.5-inch strip die, which we use all the time.
With the mat.
With the mat. Great book by our good friend Eleanor Burns. An 8-inch cube and a die pick. $200.
Yes.
Great deal today.
It's a great, and it's really everything that you need to get started in a box.
Just add fabric.
That's right. All right, quilters, it's time for our final guests to join us, and I'm so excited.
Oh, they are terrific. We have Marianne Fons and Liz Porter.
So Marianne Fons is a teacher, author, lecturer, magazine founder, and publisher. Together with Liz Porter, she wrote the best-selling book, Quilter's Complete Guide, in 1993. Before they founded Fons and Porter's Love of Quilting magazine, which was followed by its TV series in 1996. Since selling their business in 2006, Marianne has served on the board of directors as a liaison between Quilts of Valor and the quilting industry.
Yes.
She's also helped establish the Iowa Quilt Museum in her hometown of Winterset, Iowa, where she enjoys designing and making quilts. And we do want to say hello, and we're thinking of you to the people in Winterset. They got hit by
A tornado.
over the weekend, and the Quilt Museum was not hurt, but our thoughts go out to you.
Yes. Liz Porter is a fourth-generation self-taught quilter beginning in 1976. Liz was part of the quilting duo Fons and Porter, who released the book Quilter's Complete Guide, which has sold over 500,000 copies. Their business expanded to owning Love of Quilting magazine, which we both loved,
Yes.
and doing the Love of Quilting programs on public television. Together, they were inducted into the Quilters Hall of Fame in 2019. After selling the businesses, Liz moved to Austin, Texas, where she is now active in several quilt groups and making more quilts than ever. Let's hear what they have to say.
Well, I was really tickled that AccuQuilt asked us to talk about mentors and being mentors, because I was really curious to hear what you would say, Liz, because I'm interested in what you think on this topic.
I haven't thought about it too much. One of the things is, I think the influence that got me started quilting was the fact that it's a tradition in my family, that my great-grandmother and my grandmother were both quilters, and I'd always been fascinated by quilts. My mother actually started quilting after I did, but I've taught both of my daughters how to quilt, and now I'm teaching my granddaughters how to sew. Haven't got them started with quilts yet, but they're starting to sew.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Well, you know, I didn't have a quilting tradition, although my mother sewed, but in thinking a little bit like you, not too much about this, I always, and I maybe said this to you before, I always think about Bonnie Lehman, who started Quilters Newsletter, which was the internet back then.
Right.
That we got everything we needed to know was in Quilters Newsletter. So I think of Bonnie Lehman, who I got to meet as a mentor. And then I think about Carrie Bresnahan, who made a business out of quilting, you know, so that we could make a living in it with Quilt Market. And then I think of Marty Michelle because she gave us our chance, to write a book.
Right.
So, those aren't exactly mentors that were guiding us, but they were certainly figures I admired and just always felt like, well, I was able to raise a family and make a living in the quilt world because of them.
And back when we started, pretty much had to be self-taught, that there weren't the plethora of classes and things that there are now, and opportunities at quilt shops and other places to learn how to quilt. I consider myself basically self-taught. When you and I started teaching some classes locally, we would meet after class and decide which one of us was going to learn how to do what we were going to teach the next week. And so it was, kind of the frontier of the whole thing.
Yeah, that's right. We were barely one step of our students. And so, that's why we learned so much so fast, because we had to, it was like
Mhm.
we were being chased in some ways. And then it's, as far as the question of being mentors to other people, it's kind of weird because we were on TV, so we weren't like sitting beside someone like you are with your daughters, or you were with your granddaughters. We were sort of these removed from, but we met so many, thousands of people over the years, like, oh, I learned to quilt from you, so it's not the most normal mentor-mentee situation.
Yeah, but it's been a kind of a special way of doing it through books, magazine, articles, owning a magazine, and also the power of television in terms of doing that you really reach into people's homes, and you even influence people's attitudes about quilts who have no intentions of making a quilt. I always laugh about the time I was at the Iowa State Fair in one of the cattle barns, and one of the cowboys in the cattle barn with a belt buckle the size of a dinner plate came up to me and said, "Oh, I see you on TV all the time." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay."
We didn't really think that was our customer.
Yeah, but you reach a lot of people, and I'm sure that even in those cases, we influence people's attitudes about quilts.
Yeah. And then another thing I would throw in about being a mentor myself was, after we sold our business and everything, I got really involved in Quilts of Valor. I know you've made lots of Quilts of Valor yourself, but, I came up with this idea that we did institute in Quilts of Valor called Under Our Wings. And my feeling was, every man, woman, and child in America should make a quilt. And the quilt they should make is a quilt of valor. And if those of us who are, skilled quilters would each just take one person under our wing and show them how to make a quilt, then wow, that would be fantastic, because so many more quilts would be made and would be awarded and all that. So I was kind of a mentor in that way. And I just think teaching a person, an individual, to quilt is like the most wonderful thing you can do.
Mm-hmm. I know sometimes I've just said, "You want to learn how to quilt? Come over. I've got plenty of fabric. You don't need to buy anything. I've got multiple rotary cutters, multiple rulers, multiple everything. Just come and I'll show you basically how to do it."
That's so cool, is because I don't know about you, but once in a while, I get a request to teach a class somewhere. And it's like, I always say, I don't do that anymore. But in the past year, I helped 2 people who were having grandchildren come along, to make a quilt just in my studio with me, because I don't want to teach formally, but, taking someone under my wings. It's just the most fun thing to see them go, aha, to see them get it. It's just awesome. Well, I've really enjoyed this. We live far apart now, and it was nice to hear, your thoughts about being a mentor and I guess kind of as we close, unless you have something else to say about it. We were sort of mentors to each other in a way in our partnership, because even though we were peers, we learned at the same time. It's just like you had strengths that were different from my strengths, and I always learned, and I try to give you credit every chance I get for, your technical skill and your, it seems like sometimes I would look at the big picture, sometimes you would look at the big picture, and we kind of took turns that way. So it was really a great journey.
Well, I think one of the really important things about quilting, significant things, is the social aspect, that it's a way of forming friendships that are very lasting friendships. And it's really special to have a quilting buddy. And for many years, you and I were each other's quilting buddies, and we could bounce things off each other. And I've enjoyed finding that where I live now too.
Oh, okay. This was such a great show
really
to hear
was.
all about mentoring.
It
Now
really
you
was.
can tell your patterns.
Now I can tell. So Buff Walsh, who taught me how to sew, because my mother is not a sewist, gave me Liz Porter's book on perfectly fitting pants. And I think she went to her class. I think she was in Omaha and she bought this book for me because I come from garment background.
She does. Garments and
I use more pins that way.
the pins.
All right, well, when it comes to starting piecing quilt blocks, whether it's your first time or just your first time working with the AccuQuilt system, you can't go wrong by starting with our cubes. The Go Qube mix and match cubes come in 6 different finished block sizes.
They do. And here's a sample of one. Here, we'll move it
There
there.
you go.
There we go. Each one has 8 different shapes. They're geometric shapes that work together to make 72 mix and match patterns. The shapes are the same in every cube. They're just different sizes.
That's right.
So usually we show the cube, but today we're going to show you 2 charts, and then we have a block thing that we're going to show you.
Yes.
So here is our first chart. So Erica, on the left are all of the 8 geometric shapes.
Right.
And on the top are all the 6 different sizes of cubes. And then what's in the middle?
So in the middle, you're going to get the actual measurements of those shapes.
Yes.
So this is going to give you your cut and finish size. Now, why is that important? Well, I use this chart all the time when I'm translating patterns, non-go patterns, into my dies, because I do everything with my dies. I don't just do go projects with them. I do any pattern with my dies.
And then on the bottom are those 8 shapes and how they work together and how they're
That's
sewn
right.
together.
So really, it is, like we said earlier about Eleanor's book, kind of a quilt by numbers.
Yes, and this is great. And it's available on our website, so you can download it. And then
Absolutely.
we not only did it for the cubes, but we also, next slide, we're going to show you, we did it for the companion sets.
Yes.
So there's the 4 shapes from corners and the 4 shapes from angles. And again, the different sizes of cubes and the
Yes.
blocks at the bottom. And this one is also extremely helpful because sometimes I need just a tiny little half square triangle.
Right, and you're trying to figure out which size or find it, and it'll help you find which one to use.
Right.
Now, the original chart, the first one we showed you, is in the front of the Go Qube book by Eleanor that we showed you earlier.
It is.
But this is just, I would definitely go to the website and download these as references and just keep them handy by your cutting table. You're going to get so much good out of them. Now, the reason why the system is so great is because that original 8, you can combine those shapes to make over 72 different quilt blocks. And we want to show you what that looks like.
Right. So again, you can find this on our website, but we have a hard copy here.
We do.
So this is just an example of the 72 mix and match patterns that we have patterns for.
Right.
But okay, in your quilting head, you can make all sorts of different
All kinds of
blocks
things. This is
without that.
just your starting point, quilters.
Yeah, and then it goes on to say, now here's the original cube plus the corners. So now you can make 144 mix and match
Right.
patterns.
Turn
Turn the page, over 216 blocks.
And you can download all of these and the patterns for them on the AccuQuilt website.
Yeah, and this is, again, a really great way to kind of get started because maybe you're thinking, oh, what block should I start with first, right?
Right. Just look, and that's a great way to get started with the system. If you're new to the system, go ahead, download the chart, look for blocks that you like, grab some old fabric, some scrap fabric, and just make a bunch of blocks.
Yeah, open it up, folks.
Yep, open
some
it up
fabric.
and use it. You'll love
We
it.
tell everybody. Now, for those of you just getting started with our Go system, our Ready, Set, Go is truly the best option around. Like I said, you're going to get our manual Go fabric cutter, our 8-inch cube, so it's going to make 8-inch finished blocks, 2.5-inch strip dies, which, Erica, we can use for borders, binding, sashing, cornerstones.
So many
all the
things.
match you need, the great book by Eleanor Burns, and a die pick.
That's right. But if you're just dipping your quilting toe into the water for the very first time and wanting to start a little more gradually, another great way to get started is with our bob or block on board dies.
Bob dies have all the shapes you need to make one block on a die board. So it makes it so simple to get started. Let's take a look at a couple of great examples. Let's start with the Ohio Star. So
This is a classic block.
You want to show them
And
the
there are
block?
so many things. So this is the block. This is a smaller version of the block, but this is the Ohio Star. Now the block on board that we have actually makes a 12-inch size.
Right. Right, and I love it because it has only two shapes, that quarter square triangle and that square. It's on a 6x12 die board, so it's gonna fit through any of our cutters.
Including the Go Me. So you can use that Go Me to make a 12-inch block. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah, that is. And these shapes can be used to make other designs as well.
Oh yeah, they're great
Right.
standard shapes. And you're gonna see our dog-eared corners. Those are cut off so that when you sew them together, you're gonna be able to just press them out and they're perfect. You don't have to go back and trim bunny ears.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. All right, now next we're gonna look at one of Erica's favorite.
Yes, if you're looking for something maybe a little more contemporary, how about the Go Cross canoes? Now this is actually a very old block as well, but it's one of our favorites and you can get so many different looks with it. And here is what that block is gonna look like. Here, we'll hold it over the die.
Look at how pretty that is.
Look how fun that is, but you can do so many different things depending on colors, and it looks complicated, but it's very impressive when you're done, and it's very easy to sew as long as you can do a 1/4-inch seam allowance.
Yeah. All right, so let's take a look at the dies. So now our bob dies often have screen printed letters.
Yes.
So A and AR, which is the reverse or right. B is that center shape, and then C is what makes the center of our little cross canoes. So all of those four shapes make one section of our finished block.
And you'd get a completely different look if you switch these blocks around, or if maybe you use both of these in the same color.
Right.
There's so many different options.
Right. And this is on a 10x10 die board, so for sure you need a 10x10 mat.
Yes,
It will fit through our Go and our Go Big cutters.
that is correct.
I love cross canoes.
It's really fun, and we've got a great sample coming up in the trunk show.
All right, our good friends at Riley Blake are helping.
You see.
Wait. we don't get to see what the fabric is until we get here, because then
Okay, we're just going to say it out loud. They don't trust us with us. They don't show it to us ahead of time.
don't. Our good friends at Riley Blake are helping make this a wonderful event by providing us with two lovely selections of fabric. It's called Go. It's called not Go, but it's called Community.
Community, yes.
And look at this. So it has like all the buildings, and I love this. I feel like I'm making stripe bindings. I could use that for stripes.
Yes.
And then it has ones with little people in the park.
People, little hearts. So it's really nice because it's just a great combination ready to go for you to make a project. It's got big scale, small scale, medium scale prints on it.
Yeah, look at how fun that is.
so fun.
And they're in two different colorways, and they're fabulous.
They are.
All right, but we're gonna give it away. We're gonna pet it from, and it's yardage. These are big.
Yeah, these are nice pieces. This is Riley Blake.
All right, the winner of the first selection of Riley Blake fabric is, drum roll please, Carrie R. from Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh,
our hometown
congratulations.
girl. Good job, Carrie.
And the winner of the second selection of fabric is, drum roll please, Cindy S. from Del Mar, Maryland. Congratulations.
Oh, and a huge shout out to Riley Blake for making beautiful fabric.
It is lovely, and we promise we are giving it to you.
We are.
Our quilters are going to love using this fabric, I know, in their quilts.
They are.
All right, quilters, if you want to enjoy some more incredible stories about women in quilting, you definitely need to read today's blog. The blog celebrates women quilters and the stories by 3 AccuQuilt team members, Karen, Joy, and the lovely Miss Pam.
Thank you.
There are some truly moving stories in there, so be sure to check it out.
I just think it's great. It's a great blog.
It is. Quilters, at the start of 2022, we kicked off our Paying It Forward campaign called Covering the World One Quilt at a Time. This campaign is a collaboration between AccuQuilt and Moda Fabrics with Baby Lock as our sponsor. Now, together, one person from our teams is donating a quilt each week of 2022 to the charity of their choosing.
And last week's donation was made by AccuQuilt's very own Joy Banfield. Joy's quilt went to Pink Lemonade Fight. This organization is in her hometown and is very important to her and her father. The organization offers no-cost comfort to cancer patients and families to help make their lives easier during their battles with cancer.
Joy's mother passed away from breast cancer when she was 19, so their cause hits close to home for her. She finished this beautiful quilt in time for her dad's birthday in 2022 and made the donation to Pink Lemonade Fight in both her parents' honor.
Okay, I love everything about that story. Good job, Joy. It's beautiful.
It is. It is.
All right. Now, be sure to visit our website for details on how you, our viewers, can participate in covering the world one quilt at a time. Go to learn.accuquilt.com/quilttheworld2022.
You can also follow Quilt the World 2022 on social media to see fellow quilters' donations throughout the year. Several quilters have been donating their quilts to Quilts of Valor, as we just heard Marianne talking about.
Yeah, and okay, the quilts that they've donated are so beautiful.
Stunning.
You want to check them out.
Quilters, with today's show centering on mentorship and passing quilting along, we have some exciting trunk show projects that are great for introducing quilting to others. So let's take a look at what we've got today.
Okay.
And we're not going to tease you any longer. We're going to start with that cross canoes
Yeah,
quilt.
look at how pretty this is.
Okay.
So I'm just going to hold up a section of it, Erica.
Yes, because it's pretty good size. And you can see now here we've gone just 2 colorways, and this is all done in batiks.
And our good friend Bea Lee of Bea Quilter made it, and she used island batiks.
Yes, isn't that pretty?
And I think that this is such a simple block. And look how different it looks in just 2 colors than it does 4.
Yes.
And then we'll show you the back, because the back is beautiful.
The back is a
fabric.
beautiful
I have some of this
batik as
fabric
well.
in my,
I think
in my little
I think
stash.
I may too. Next up, we've got another one of our favorites. This is the Qube 12-inch confetti quilt, and this has got Riley Blake fabrics in it, and it uses our friend from the Mix and Match Qube, the parallelogram.
And I actually made this for my nephew, and I loved it because I just used fat quarters. So it was a perfect way to kind of just make it all different, but I did use the gray background and the green for the binding. The thing I love about this is that it's so simple, and like the quilting on it was really just straight edge quilting, and it's beautiful.
But it's done in blocks, so.
It is.
And you can see that on the, well, maybe you can't, I don't know. Yeah, you can see the quilting on the box. So it's just kind of back and forth here, and then up and down, and then back and forth. It's really cool.
Brock, our cameraman, does a good job there.
Yes.
All right, the next one is called Windy Quilt.
Oh.
It's Robert Kaufman fabric, and this is actually one of Erica's favorites.
I love this one. I love pinwheel blocks.
She does.
This is kind of fun because it's got them set on point.
Right.
But another great thing about this quilt is this is a great one to make in any size quilt.
Right.
In any size cube, because you're just making those half square triangle units.
Right.
So this would be really easy to translate into another cube, and I think we have it. I think we have patterns for the same basic design in both the 12-inch and the 6-inch cubes.
Right. And then you just use those 6 and 12-inch setting triangles to finish out your quilt. So yeah, I love the fact that so many of our patterns, we can change the size of the quilt.
Yes.
Oh, here, and look, let's show you the back
Oh,
fabric.
really
This is
fun, because it
beautiful.
pulls in the colors from the front. I love it when our quilters do that.
Okay.
All right, now it's the one behind us. This is the Go Lattice Throw Quilt. It's by Missy Shepler of Shepler
Missy.
Studios, and she used Dear Stella fabric on
And
this.
Dear Stella fabric has cats, which is so fun. And then I love the green and the simple quilting on this.
It really is fun with all the black and white prints.
Yeah.
And then that pop of color.
Yeah, I think it's
And
great.
you could change it up. You could go to Go Quilt and change it up. You could do the royal blue like our shirts. You could do a hot pink. You could do
Right.
red.
These could all be different, and this could be black.
Yeah.
Oh, my quilting head. I think of so many ways to do that.
Happens every week. We come here and we come up with ideas, and then we want to quilt. All right, we've got another one of this is one of your favorites.
I actually made this one in
Yes.
a different colorway. It was beautiful. I had a whole bunch of like purples and really bright colors to make it out of.
This is called One More Time Quilt, and it's using Robert Kaufman fabrics and our friend the 4.5-inch strip dye.
Yep. And it just needs strips and squares, and it was so easy to
Do it
make.
all with that one dye. It's
I
really
truly made
fun.
it in an afternoon. It was
Definitely a
so
very
great.
modern feel to it. And you could showcase all kinds of different fabric in there. That's what I like. They're big pieces, so you could really showcase some prints that you love too.
And I followed his great example and quilted it just like this, where I went back and forth.
Lovely.
That was beautiful.
All right, next up, we talked about our shamrock. Here is our shamrock swirl pillow.
Yay! So this is a really fun pattern because it uses the shamrock shape, but it also uses the Qube companion corners, which are the signature block, and then shape 5 from the original Qube, and then triangle in a square, or kite shape, I'm sorry.
Kite shape, which is from
Kite shape.
Angles.
Yeah, which is from Angles. And I like this because, look on the back.
It has a zipper.
It has a zipper. Good job, Melanie Call.
Yes.
So that you can just take it out and change them for the seasons. I'm all about that now.
Yes.
I used to think, oh, I'm making a pillow, it's got to stay that pillow.
Right.
But I can
No.
just change them out.
Change it out. Absolutely. Speaking of pillows,
Yes.
we have our Go Adventure On. Here we go.
Here.
Pam's Northwoods medley.
It
and
is.
again, we talked about using different fabrics. Here's a great example of it. The background's all quilted,
Great.
quilting cottons, and then we've got wool bears and trees
Yes.
to highlight it that are appliqued on top of that background.
12-inch Cuban companion angles.
Yes,
To make those mountains. This would look good in your new house.
it would.
I do love this one.
Well, it always takes things.
I know,
wonder
we
if they'd
could.
notice.
We could.
Brock would probably
All right, I think you have one more quilt.
I have two, actually.
Oh, here we go.
So we talked about bobs, and we started with the Ohio Star. So here's an example. This is the Go Vibrant Ohio Star quilt pattern. This is a really big quilt, so that's why Pam's holding it,
huge.
not me.
Huge.
And it's a 12-inch block, but as you can see, we've made it even bigger with that sashing around it.
And this one's kind of cool because it's variegated in color. When you hold the thing up, it's like yellows to greens. Or
Right,
to
it goes
pinks
in
and oranges and
strips.
blues. Yeah, and really simple quilting on it. But again, if you're just starting with the AccuQuilt, or if you're just starting quilting, this is a great block.
Yes. And we have one more, and this is one of I love churn dash blocks.
You do.
It's one of my favorites, Joy's too. It's not just me.
It is.
And this is made with our block on board that makes a 9-inch churn dash. And we didn't show you this one, but this is another great starting one. It gives you half square triangles and rectangles and a square. It's a great way to get started. We think this one reminds us of mint chip ice cream, but it's really the seafoam churn dash quilt.
Yes, but we all want ice cream now.
We all want ice cream now. All right, now all of these patterns are available as free downloads on the AccuQuilt website. Be sure to get your patterns downloaded before your die arrives so you'll be ready to go the minute they get there.
Now, quilters, early in the show, we asked, who is or was your quilting mentor? And both of you and I kind of talked about Eleanor
did.
and Alex and,
We did.
and Marianne and Liz.
All of these people
Yeah.
have been mentors, distance mentors
Right.
to us. So there's no voting poll today, so let us know your answers in the comment section.
So Erica, who was your quilting mentor?
Well, I mentioned Buff that taught me how to sew, so she was definitely my
her name
first
is
sewing.
Buff.
Well, that's a nickname. Her name was Mary Elizabeth.
Okay, I call her
Somehow
Buff
she
too.
got called Buff. And then I worked for Georgianne Reagan, the costumer, and she taught me so much about the creative process and creativity, but also about structure and technique.
Right.
So even though it wasn't quilting, I learned a lot from Georgianne. And then when I got here, I was kind of a self-taught quilter. There was no quilt store in town when I really first started quilting out in Washington in this little town. And so I just kind of went to the library and checked out a book, you know, the old school way, and got started that way. But once I started here, Carolyn and Madeline kind of took me underhand and
did.
kind of showed me some extra techniques, introduced me to free motion quilting, which
Right.
was all new to me, got me over my hurdle of working with doing scrappy, and a lot of other things. So
Yeah.
how about you?
I actually, 25 years ago, walked into very first time into a quilt shop. I'd never seen one. And Ginger and Nancy were the owners. When you talk about International Quilting or International Women's Day, they were amazing women and artists and business owners. And they just brought me into this great community of quilting and taught me all about, you know, how to sew a 1/4-inch seam and how to, you know, choose patterns and stuff. So really, they were kind of the start there. So yeah, a huge shout out to all those people who
All of those
influenced
people
us.
that got us started doing what we love. And I know
Right.
we've both helped lots of other people
Yep.
discover quilting too.
Yep.
Well, it's time to give away our final prize of the day. So we want to give away 2 more Qube books to a lucky registered viewer so they can have one to keep and one to give to their mentor or mentee.
I think that's a great idea.
I do too.
All right, today's final winner of 2 Qube books is, drum roll please, Beverly H. of Fallon, Nevada. Congratulations, Beverly. All right, quilters, be sure to join us again next Tuesday, March 15th at 12 noon Central Time for our launch party called Square Dance. There'll be music. There'll be music. We will be launching not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 new dies. These new dies are going to be a breath of fresh square.
Be sure to register for this event on our website. On the events page, that's how you qualify to win our door prizes.
You're gonna love it.
All right, quilters, remember we have special deals available for you today. Now, to get your order in during the show, use your phone's camera. You're going to capture the QR image coming up and go right to the site.
And if you don't have a QR reader, no worries. Just open up a new tab in your browser. Type in accuquilt.com/party to go to the site and place your order.
Now, remember, you can save 44% off of Go dies, cubes, and bundles when you use the code SAVEMY44 before the end of the day. Plus, if you spend $400 or more, you're going to get a free Go Me fabric cutter starter set. Absolutely no code required. But hurry, because you only have 1 day to take advantage of that offer.
And when I think about what we want to save 44 is, think about those bob dies.
Right.
And those strip dies, right? Those
cubes. If you don't have a cube, this is a great day to get started. That's an amazing price. It's an amazing value. Or if you have the cube, maybe you want to get a companion.
Right. All right.
Take a look.
Or you can take $200 off your Ready, Set, Go, or the Go Big Fabric Cutter, which is the cutter Eric and I use every day.
Yes.
When you use the code SAVE200. Remember, you can only use 1 code at a time for the order, but great deals like these don't last long, so be sure to place your order today.
You can also find our products at your local AccuQuilt retailer. To find a retailer closest to you, we have a store locator. It's at the top of the page at accuquilt.com. Don't forget, you can quilt now, pay later. Get your financing at accuquilt.com/financing. All right, it is time for us to go put our inspiration to good use, and so we hope you enjoyed today's show and found inspiration in all of our guest mentors' stories.
And again, a huge thank you to Alex Anderson, Eleanor Burns, Marianne Fons, and Liz Porter for joining us today. We know that took time out of their busy schedules.
It did, and we're so glad
to be
that
part of
they
our
did.
show.
It was amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in to see us today as well. If you've been waiting for our show to end before you buy, now is that time. Here's the link. Get everything you need before your items sell out.
And remember, at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time.
So you can quilt more.
Goodbye.
Bye.